Hello, everybody. Welcome to HBMA Live again. I am Kunal Jain. I know we missed few HBMA Lives in last few months, but I have a very interesting guest today with me. He started his company in medical practice management and RCM space. It's a very, very interesting space. But before I introduce him to you, before I introduce Gautam Char, who's my friend, I wanted to give you some information. HBMA is coming up with with our latest innovation workshop, and it's on March 30th and 31st. I'm going to give you more information when the show would start, and we'll talk about it. We have a fantastic line of speakers, and those who are HBMA members, I request everybody to register for that. Registration is on our website. It is live, www.hbma.org. So I would encourage everybody to go on our website, register yourself for this innovation workshop. It's a live workshop. You can meet people, you can make some new friends, and probably you're going to see Gautam and his company there to learn and understand what he's doing there. So with this, I'm going to introduce Gautam Char. Gautam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Kunal. How are you?
Fantastic. So I know we have been trying to juggle through our appointments, and it just last Thursday it was supposed to be, but I missed out because I had so much going on that Thursday that I just could not focus on this conversation. But I'm glad we made it on Monday. So happy Monday.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's always, scheduling is always the biggest nightmare in anything, you know.
I know.
It is
I know, and your Monday was busy, so you said it's going to be a busy day. But tell me a little bit about first yourself, and people wants to know what exactly you do and how you have been doing, and then we'll talk about your products and everything.
Absolutely. So, you know, I've been in the revenue cycle business for about, I'd say, about 17 years or so. And
we both started actually the same time. I started my company in 2003. Then.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
So I joined. You know, it's interesting. We joined a company that was originally based in India. We were about 400 odd people when I joined, and I think I left them about a couple of years ago. We were about 5,000 odd people, all in the revenue cycle space, and it was an interesting growth.
Yeah.
You know, and as we realized that our value prop was quite difficult to execute, which is, you know, brings us to WhiteSpace Health over time, because the value prop was simple. We'd go into clients and say, I'm going to take over your whole revenue cycle. I'm going to do it at 20-30% less, which is easy to do because they all have budgets, costs, you know the cost of a headcount, all that good stuff. But then we commit to do 2 to 3% in contracts, higher revenue. That is where the difficulty is, you know. And so, you know, we built this business, and as part of that, we had to build technology. You know, very often technology was more lip service, you know, just to show people that we were high end. But the reality is, you know, to get that revenue upside is not easy for most companies. Then moving forward, you know, I sort of joined the provider side, and I was running some large teams of RCM teams trying to, again, do the same thing. You know,
you initially marketed all of your products and services from India to here, right?
Yeah. So the you know, we set it up in the old organization.
Previous organization.
Right. The heavy lifting was done out of India, though I had a lot of the patient engagement all stateside, and you know, deep expertise that, you know, you don't tend to get in India-based model was all stateside.
Right.
But the other gig that I was doing when I was actually a provider myself, you know, that was all 100% stateside, you know, in the US.
Right.
And we did have offshore vendors to do parts of it, but, you know, end of the day, the stuff.
So you have been into practice management or in space for almost 17 years. So
yes,
fantastic. Yes. So that's how you identified that there is a problem, and what made you think that this is a problem? Because
so you know, there are 2-3 issues we run into. You see, revenue cycle is not just about collections. This is what you realize very quickly. Collections is part of it, and you know, most people can do the 80%. You know, I had teams stateside India, doesn't really matter where, they could do the 80%. The difficult part was the last 20% and maybe the last 5%, and that makes a difference between a great revenue cycle shop and a mediocre revenue cycle
Correct.
shop. It's the last 5%, I would call.
And it's standard thing is it's medical billing, basically.
It's medical billing, but it's hard to do it,
billing,
because you got to understand the nuances. And so you run into issues of analytics to do it. You run into issues of, people. You have a lot more gurus, to actually can do it, and they're not easy to find. And so that is one class of problems it was really struggling with. The second problem was revenue cycle is not about revenue cycle because you influence the front end, which is important. You influence the provider training. You got to, or CDI, that is, you got to influence the payer managed care contracting. And having all that information available was really, really hard to do, And so fast forward a little bit, and then as I was working, we had this startup that was already created by the WhiteSpace Health. It's a lot more than a startup because we are in about 400 medical groups in the country. But it started off, and we got investment from Goldman and Everstone, and to scale the business. Then I looked at this, and it seemed it had all the right ingredients.
How did you get the first investment? I know you solved the problem, but how did you get your first? What was the first capital, by yourself or who
No,
invested?
actually, I must tell you that predates me because I joined this group when the investment model started taking off. So it was a bunch of guys from Microsoft that started it.
Okay.
And so they kept getting friends and family funding, and then they got some little investment from another billing company to invest into them.
Right.
And then later, when that billing company sold,
Right.
Goldman Sachs looked at it and said, "What do we do with this?"
Right.
And so I got $18 million of funding through the private equity circuit to scale it fundamentally. And so bring it. So, the stuff that I'd struggled to do running revenue cycle shops. Now,
how many practices you were at that time when you had this transition? You were already
before Goldman. We had about a year and a half. That's about a year ago. I'd say we had about maybe 200
and it's a SaaS model. It's a subscription-based model.
We are a complete SaaS model. We don't do services. We are a product business in a SaaS model.
And your product, so your product is mostly analytics, which somebody can go log into that and see the reporting. Absolutely. And is it replacing the current reporting system into any software, or it sits on the top of it, or how does it work?
Right. So we look at it, we call it deep analytics. Let's start with that. It's because reporting is just the easy part, which people do, right? You can always
most people do it. Most people do it.
But that's also important, and that's hard because I used to have like 50 people in my previous organization just doing reports for me. Right. And it was crazy. And always the data was wrong. We'd argue with the definition of what is the denial.
And then interpretation of reports.
Yes, absolutely.
Most of the time, everybody interprets in their own way. So,
so the way we built it is, right now we work with maybe about 14 billing systems already pre-done. We've scaled the business. And so we sit on top of it, literally. So most native billing products, as you know, don't have good analytics. It's not the core business. And so we sit on top of all of them, and we extract the data. And so as a first level, we give you what I call analytics, what most people call traditional stuff, which is a lot of history of what happened, trends, curves, etc.
So it's basically, so it basically about the financial side.
The financial side.
So it gives a financial clarity to the medical practices. And who were your customer? Medical practices, billing companies, or
so we've got our number. We've got three classes of clients. We have billing companies are quite a few of those. And many of them are members of HBMA, as you know.
Correct.
Then we've got we've got these healthcare technology vendors,
Correct.
that actually have a RCM service on the side.
Correct.
Which is another class of clients we have. They're like billing companies as far as we're concerned.
Correct.
And then we've got what I call retail. Some of our large healthcare technology actually white label our product.
So how did you? I'm very interested to learn. How did you find your first initial 5-10 customers?
It's as most organizations are startups. You struggle with a bit of luck and a bit of faith.
Right.
I think when we started off this whole company, the thought process was we knew what off-the-shelf products.
Right. Because you had the problem identified yourself, so you know that it's a pain point.
Yes, so we knew the pain points, and so a lot of them come out of relationships. The first few these are always in any business.
And you do a free subscription, waivers.
No, we never get free. We always made money, so we haven't done anything free. But we knew the value prop enough, and we had personal credibility because most of us were RCM operators.
Correct.
some sort of the other. So we knew
Right.
this space really well.
Right.
And so, in fact, yeah, so we are a combination of tech and operations, right? We know
Right.
RCM.
And I see you have your salesperson also with you. Carrie is there. She wants to be on the show. She's welcome. She's into sales, right?
No, she's marketing. So
Oh,
Carrie
she's
runs
marketing.
marketing for us. And
Okay,
she's
so
pretty good.
we can ask a few questions from her if she wants to come to the. Hey,
Absolutely.
Carrie, how are you doing?
She's muted. Carrie, you're muted.
She's new to it. Okay,
Hey
well,
there.
welcome to the show
Oh, she's back
too.
on right now.
Well, we always like to see some pretty faces on the show, so that would be great. You would add some flavor here. Welcome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I have a very interesting question because most startups struggle. Number one, finding good people, especially from marketing and sales, and number two, they also struggle for finding the understanding the nuances of selling startups, because not every marketing person or salesman is ready to really sell what's needed at that stage. So I really want to understand how you guys solve that problem.
Right. No, actually, it's a very difficult problem because you get people who can talk and cannot do, right? When you're a small company, you need people that can talk and do, which is a very interesting skill.
Right.
And so we managed to cobble together quite a few of it, and we have a good recruiter too that helped us with this whole process.
So you found a professional recruiter to hire?
No, we hired a recruiter we have one on our payroll. And so we built out a whole sales team, all from the healthcare tech or healthcare services space.
Right.
And as you know, we focus on two personas, right? We have the persona, let's call it RCM leader, but we also do work for practices. How do you improve the operations of practice?
Correct.
Which includes, like, I've got this ancillary equipment and I'm running it like a taxi, and now you're getting your money back.
Right.
You have docs, you have enough MAs in your practice. So we do both. Right. And so we hired a whole bunch of selling organizations. We hired a whole bunch of product managers who know the space. And of course, marketing was hired also who knows the space. So we all came from the business side of the story. And we had the techie that was always obviously needed to deliver the goods.
Right.
So,
and how was your experience, Carrie, working with WhiteSpace? Share some stories.
It's been fantastic.
Background stories. How long have you been working with them?
I was actually one of the first employees hired here in the United States to get us ready to go to market and ready to go. But my background is health information management. Most of the product managers are revenue cycle specifically. A lot of them were doing billing companies and doing many of what the HBMA members do.
Right.
So yeah, I came in July last year to start building the website, getting a brand ready, and all of the assets.
Oh, so you guys are pretty new. It's been just almost a year now.
No. Let me clarify that a bit. So the company's been about 7 years old.
Correct.
Now we got the investment
to
fundamentally change our trajectory about a year and a half ago. Right. And since then, so when she mentions new, that's when we built out a team that fundamentally scaled the business and the product. Perfect. And so over a year and a half, we changed the trajectory. So like we doubled the business this year, for example, just we're just adding a sales force and tweaking the product, right? And so that's what she meant by she joining.
So explain that to me, Carrie. What are your real tools for marketing? Because everybody wants to learn marketing. Everyone wants to scale their business. It's like hot. Everybody wants to hear those nuggets, how people scale their business. And most of the startups who watch my show, they love those nuggets and wisdom coming out because they want to know what works, what doesn't work.
Sure. Well, I'd say the first thing is really understand your customers and their pain points. If you can understand that and articulate how your solution solves those pain points, and not only solves them, but how does it help you grow your business? Right. And I think that's something that Gautam and I have talked about again and again and again to make that really crisp and understandable, and have our salespeople be able to say that out to the market as well, and really understand it and feel passionate like we do. Right. We walked a mile in your shoes. We want to help you because we think we build a product that it's awesome. I'll just
so you have a full faith, awesome. You have a full trust in Gautam and the product, and you're passionate about that. But how do you track? So you are saying, like, if you yourself is passionate about it, then you translate the same goals and energy to your customers. But did you have an established kind of a network or to hang out with, to go out with, or did you develop a new pipeline? How did you guys do this?
Let me take that one.
Sure.
So if I look at it, right, we had a steady base. So the good
Right.
news was, even before we started scaling the business, we were already in 150 medical groups across the country.
Correct.
So that helps, right? We got a stable product that's pretty good. Now, but to scale the business, fundamentally change the growth curve,
Right.
the first thing we did was, of course, we had a bunch of sales guys, so
Right.
hunter, but they don't deliver immediately, right? And so the lead gen is the hardest part.
Right.
And so most of the near-term lead gen came out of two classes of business. One is, I'd say, private equity owned companies.
Right.
And so, you can network into private equity. And the other one is just people that we know. Now, the other thing that we managed to do, and the Kerry was part of that thing, was we're trying to work with MGMA, for example, right? And somehow we talked to MGMA about events with them or whatever. We suddenly, she and this Ryan, our sales leader, turned that into an opportunity where now MGMA carries our product.
Right.
So now MGMA Data Discovery is actually our product white label, and suddenly we got brand, helping us make things happen. So we got the channels working for us. We got some history of we all been in the business long enough working for us. And now, as I'm seeing it, in the last quarter, now the selling engine has started kicking. It takes about 9 months sales really kick in, Selling engine is now kicking. So now the new leads are coming into the Salesforce directly, because at some point contacts only go so far.
So you use Salesforce for your
our sales team. No,
your sales team. Okay.
We use HubSpot.
Do you guys you use HubSpot?
We use HubSpot at their
and it
core.
works for you now very well.
It does the trick. I mean, for me, that any system is as good as the data you provide to it.
The data to you.
So we do, So, and events are an important part of getting,
Also, this events and exhibitions, how much it helps?
It does. I'd say that in most B2B sales, in healthcare specifically, we'll get anywhere from 40 to 50, maybe a little bit more, but a little less of our connections.
Right.
It's a really efficient way for us to see existing customers, to rekindle relationships, especially now that we've all been cooped up for a year and a half with COVID. We're all clamoring to get out there and see one another again.
Right.
And then also that networking effect where one will introduce to another. Some of our existing customers will recommend us, and it just, of course, just balloons from there.
Right.
And we've had a fantastic reception from the HBMA team. Thank you so much for a warm welcome. And we look forward to collaborating with you guys at the innovation meeting in March. And then we'll be at the annual show again.
You will be there. I'm going to miss it because I'm attending a MGMA show in Atlanta. So I'm going to miss this time, but we'll happy
but
to
with
see.
events, she does more. Actually, Kerry's got an elaborated. We just don't go to the events, right? She does a whole bunch of stuff before the events and.
What do you guys do
all
before
over
the events?
Sure.
So my philosophy is basically like a sine curve.
Right.
So coming up to the event, you want to build momentum. Right. So that could be things like blogs, press releases, all kinds of digital things, webinars, for example, which we have one coming up later on this month.
Right.
You'll do on-site activities where we try to meet as many people as we can, whether they're existing customers, potential customers, regulators, educators, everybody in the marketplace. And then we want to have things that cascade down from the event as well, so that there could be a whole host of different things that we try to extend the value that we put into the professional associations as long as we possibly can.
So it itself is a whole process of getting the events and these things working. No, that's I'm glad. Well, I think we are doing very well. We can take any more questions if anybody has it, those who are listening. But I wanted to know what's exactly your goal in next 2-3 years. You want to create this. What's your goal?
Right. So, if there's multiple aspects of goals, right? Let's start with the pure financial goal.
Right.
So right now, clearly when you take money from private equity, you've got to grow the business at a scale that's unprecedented. So our goal is very simple. We're doubling the business this year, which already shown we could. We're going to triple it next year and double it the year after.
Right.
And someone asked me the question, why triple it and then double it again? The reality is, we've invested now, and so we built out the portfolio. Like I said, we added the practice persona, we added the hospital persona, we already have the SNF and LTC part of it, and we added a lot more than analytics, right? We added what we call resolution insight, which actually is a whole bunch of our own IP that dumbs it down, because I'd always struggle with, I'm not the brightest pencil in the block. I'm a B grader, surround myself with A graders like Kerry, and so when I've run into a problem, I like to figure out, tell me simply what 10 things I'm going to work on.
Right.
And that's not easy, by the way. It seems
Right.
easy. It's really not easy, especially for revenue lift. Acceleration is easy, but lift is not as easy.
Yeah.
So all that IP we built in, right? So now I expect a faster kick in. And then we also built in other modules like, you already have, like, say, we tell you appointments of the docs a week. But we built in the automation after that basically says, oh, by the way, Dr. Kunal Jain is going to have a problem Tuesday at 2:00.
Predictability, yeah.
I'm predicting Tuesday 2:00 is going to be softness in your calendar.
Yeah.
Therefore, bring some extra patience in a double book,
Right.
So we didn't say with denials. You get denials, everyone knows. The reality is the difficulty is solving it in one touch. And even worse is the 5% cases, not everyone knows how to solve it. So we built a rule engine. So you get a denial, you can flip it over, you can find the rules, it tell you exactly how to solve it, and it looks at the history with ML, it tells you which path gives you the better results. So now we're building all that stuff in. So now we want to dumb it down. You don't worry about the staff.
So basically, it's the constant innovation you want to continue.
Absolutely.
Product development, constant innovation. So it will not stop like as a one product and then you sell it.
Oh no, yeah.
Continuously, you want to be in the business. You want to continue.
Absolutely. And so we added that. So my goal is that should give me an up of 3 times next year.
Right.
But then once you get that kick, doubling the business is hard by itself, right?
Right.
And so, and our base is becoming bigger. So,
a reasonable scale is very important for a business to self-sustain and run it. So that is fantastic. Well, we had a great conversation. I hope people would learn something new out of this. And I wish you all the best and for your future things. We'll keep talking. We'll have probably more. We really, people really enjoy. And it's not just the people who join us now. People keep repeating it. They see it. They go on our YouTube channel, HBMA channel. So it will stay there, and you will continuously get some value out of it.
And of course, we'll be at the innovation.
Yeah. So you will be there. People will be there.
I mean, I won't be there, but the team will be there. I'm going to.
Team will be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Any last closing comments before we close this session? Yeah. Do you guys want to share anything?
Thanks for having us, and we'd love to show you what we have.
Oh, yes, fantastic.
Absolutely. And it's built for billing companies because most billing companies have multiple EPM systems. There are very few actually port everything to their own one.
So let me ask you this before we leave, actually, when I'm glad you mentioned about the billing companies. What's there in this game for billing companies? Because most billing companies' business model depends on the practices business model,
Yes.
Based, and then they are doing, and nowadays it's changing because every practice group has their own softwares. So billing companies are kind of obliged to use what they have.
Exactly.
And how would it work with your software? Do you have? Yeah.
That's what makes it more interesting, right? Because when you are a billing company by default, you may have 5, 6, 7 clients, one on
5, 6 different platforms,
one on Allscripts, one on eClinical, but still you have to run your business, right? And they all have different financial models too, right? One may be all you can eat, a provider maybe compensated on, the other one may be RVU based, one may be adjustment based.
Right.
And so you still have the need to run one business like one. So the way we built out the software, we get multiple feeds from multiple of your clients. And we use AI to basically normalize the data. And so the user that's using the stuff on the billing company side, you almost look at it as one set of metrics data, even though you're getting feeds from multiple clients. And so we make it life so much easier to run a business if you have multiple customers on multiple platforms.
Right.
And then you can also use it to grow your business. For example, say you already have an EPM interface built. Now, one of your target clients are on say, one EPM. Let's pick eClinical Works as an argument. Now, what you could do is, in the sales process, you could easily just hook up our thing to their data, okay? And then it'll visualize everything. We'll white label it, so it'll have the billing company name on it. And now you can show the client.
So it could be you are giving a product to the billing companies to use it, brand label.
White label. And you can use it to grow business because when you're doing a prospecting stage also, you can extract and show the prospect
them the data.
How you can actually do better for them, So that helps in the process, So that's the advantage of billing company.
Well, I have one more question. How's social media working for you guys? Did it play any role in marketing?
It has a huge role in our marketing.
Uh-huh.
We've gone from 0 to over 2,700 followers in less than a year. So it's
does
huge.
that, do they convert into prospects? Do they really?
Yeah, a lot of folks really follow us heavily on social media, and we invite you to too.
We got two. Right now, we have one deal that was closed through social media, but we have to still build out that volume, right? That we are working.
Do you guys spend money with Google AdWords and other things too?
We have just done a little bit with that. We're going to free up the purse strings in our next fiscal year, which starts April 1st.
Right.
You'll see more of that from us next year.
Well, fantastic. It was a great thing to talk to you guys, and I think I will catch up with you later. All the best for your success, and thank you very much for coming here.
Thanks, Kunal.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on March 30th, 31st, 2022 on our HBMA Healthcare Innovation Workshop. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.